Good evening.
Good evening. Welcome.
I'm Dr. Jacques Carter. I'm the PHEN medical advisor, have been for the last 2 decades, and it's my distinct pleasure to be here with you tonight to moderate this special monthly meeting on Valentine's week. A very special meeting where we're looking at love and the journey of treating prostate cancer. And we have 3 couples who have graciously agreed to speak with us tonight and answer some questions. Hopefully we'll give you a lot of information about prostate cancer and about what it means to be a survivor and how survivors and what folks have to go through, because this is a family illness. Then will you speak to us about what it was like, the moment of diagnosis? Take us back when you first heard your diagnosis, what your thoughts and emotions were at that time.
Okay. Yeah, good evening. Good evening. And I was struck in that sentence survivor because I'm still in the stages. Today I had my 4th cyberknife trip, and my final one will be on Friday. So I'm surviving, and I'm already prayed up, and I'm already did prayers of victory and thanksgiving. So I can consider myself a survivor at this point. But when I first diagnosed, it was interesting in that my PSA number started going up for the last 2 years. And my primary care was telling me, okay, you should be concerned right now. So he sent me to a urologist, and the first urologist I went to said, oh, I was 70 years old then, so it was a couple of years ago. Said, oh, well, it's recommended you even stop taking the PSA because at 70, you're probably gonna die from something. And I said, okay, I don't need you. So I went back to my primary care and said, now why you send me to this guy? He said, oh, because he's in our network. I said, you need to give me somebody else. So they gave me another urologist who was closer to my age, and I talked to him about it. He said, oh, no. Yeah, some people say that, but no. So I end up going through several tests, biopsy, the whole 9 yards. Then during the same process, now that's over 6 to 8 months, right? I said, I need to know more about this. So I called my friend Anthony because I know he has experience with prostate, and he gave me so much information. I would say, how you know all this stuff? He said, man, I read up so much so I can tell other people like you, like me. So with that, I started researching as well. And I'm gonna get to the point of when I got diagnosed, right? So I went through that. Then the next thing I said, a lot of Black folk, Hispanic folk, and Hispanic and Portuguese, the whole 9 yards. I said, we die from this stuff because we're not doing early detection. So I read and read and read. So we started last November. Oh, and my wife, and I need to answer the question. Okay, I'm getting there. So in June, we started planning Metro West Prostate Cancer Awareness, and we had the 3 different languages there. And I didn't know then when I was planning that I actually had cancer. Not until 2 weeks before the event, my doctor told me, okay, yeah, you have stage 1 prostate cancer, it's localized, and we can do something about it. So based on that, I didn't have any emotion. I don't think I was emotional about it because I've done so much research about it. I said, okay, early stages, I know they can knock it out. So I have not cried but once since the whole time, and that was about last month when I was getting ready to do something else. And so when I got diagnosed, it wasn't an impact. In every doctor's appointment I went to, Katrina went with me. She was there with me. And even one, which was a little bit embarrassing, my daughter, who was in Atlanta, was on the phone. So let's imagine, okay, grown daughter up there on the phone and going through this stuff with her. But it was the ideal of having that support and that love in there. So when I first diagnosed, still, really not too much emotional impact because I know it's under control and it's in God's hand.
Great. Katrina, how did you feel about the diagnosis, Katrina? And what do you think about your relationship once that diagnosis took place?
Well, I was in the room when the doctor gave us the diagnoses, and before we got there, it said up prayer, and I wasn't really concerned. I thought that we were going to go, and he's going to say he's okay, and everything was looking good. And so it was a shock when the word cancer came out, and I knew that I needed to get myself together because I knew what that would have meant to Lynn. And I wanted to be sure that I was present and listening and to hear exactly what the doctor was saying to us. And so it took me back. I had to catch my breath, but I had to pull it together. And especially because my daughter was on the phone as well. But I can say that even when he gave us the result of the test, that wasn't what we were expecting. We were laughing and joking on our way up the elevator to the appointment. And when we got this news, it was not what we were expecting. But I can truly say that I never, to this day, I've never given in to this is really not good. I've always gone into it with this is God's will and he is going to get us through this. And all of the doctors have been so supportive and caring. And so it really helped to have a team of doctors, not just one, but to have a team of doctors when we go to the appointments. They have the look of concern in their face that they're not just looking at Lynn as a statistic or another person, another patient, another case, but they all have true concern for him, and they all were very encouraging that you're going to be okay. I'm not worried about this for you. And that was very comforting.
Let's move on to our next couple. Anthony?
Yes. Good to see everybody tonight. Thank you for being here. Dr. John P. Long Jr., who was a board certified urologist from Newton Wellesley Hospital, arrived at my diagnosis in July of 2017. And it was shocking to hear the results of that diagnosis, but I felt like, wow, this is something that I got to deal with. And so I tried to keep my emotions in check, but I did wanted to let my wife, Gloria, know that it was real. And when you look at it straight in the face, there's no running from it. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Gloria, what were your thoughts, your emotions, and what do you think about your relationship going forward?
Good evening. My first thought was my brother had been coming to PHEN. I didn't know that. And my father also, both of them had prostate cancer. So I knew what it was, but I wasn't involved in anything that they were going through. I went to Tony and I said, we're going to do this together with the help of God. And we're going to face it, whatever that means or whatever that takes. So we're going to find out where PHEN meets. And we did. And we've been on the same page all along. And as we progress through the questions, we'll share more information.
Thank you. Now we're going to get back to Jerry and Connie. Jerry?
Well, good evening.
Evening.
It's good to be here. Okay. When I'm going to take you back to when I first heard when I was first diagnosed with prostate cancer. like the young lady before me, I had an experience with prostate cancer. My dad died with stage 4 prostate cancer in 1996. And my mother encouraged me to start screening at that time. I was 42 years old. And every year I'd go and be tested. So when I was diagnosed with prostate cancer, I was already familiar with it. And as the young man earlier, we had been praying and we were trusting in God to carry us through whatever happened. So when they told me I was diagnosed with stage 3 prostate cancer, I accepted it, and my wife and I, we talked, and we decided to get a second opinion. And we went and got a second opinion, and for some reason, this urologist seemed to be a whole lot more, he had a greater bedside manner. He kind of humbled himself and, you know, broke things down to us. Connie and I was prepared for whatever from the start. So we they did a CT scan prior to after they diagnosed me with prostate cancer. They did a CT scan and they found out that there were no prostate cancer cells outside of my body. I mean, outside my prostate. Everything was contained in my prostate. None in my bones and none in my body.
Great news.
So this,
Connie, well, what about you? How did you feel about this? And what do you think about your relationship going forward?
When Jerry was first diagnosed, actually, I was afraid in my human ability. I had faith that everything was happening for a reason, but I was actually scared because even though I was somewhat familiar, I was not familiar enough to just say, okay, he's going to be okay. Although I was praying that he would, it was just a matter for me of learning more about the disease and the treatments and everything like that. But once we got the diagnosis and I got over my fear of what could happen, I just calmed my spirit to know that this is a process that we're going through, and it is definitely for some reason, as we know all things work together for the good. And I accepted it as Jerry did, him knowing more because his father had died with it earlier on.
So once this diagnosis is made, there's always navigating treatment decisions, how we're going to treat it. So I'm going to actually go right back to you, Jerry, and ask you and Connie how you arrived at your treatment options.
well, I called my brother. I had 4 brothers in Chicago where my dad lived and died with prostate cancer. I called them and told them what had happened. And they said, well, Jerry, whatever you do, don't let them cut you. You know, they cut Dad and he died. So what I did was I did some studying and I came up with this homotherapy. Homotherapy. It was a deal where they use needles to treat the cancer. You get shots. Instead of trying to remove it, you would, they would do shots, I think, once a month. Anyhow, I talked to my urologist about it, and he did not want to discuss it. So I went back to my primary physician and I got an appointment with another urologist. So Connie and I went out there and we talked to him, and he told me the same thing that this guy, the previous urologist, he thought that a robotic prostatectomy would be the best thing since the cells were all contained in the prostate. And we told the doctor when he told us that would be the best procedure, we told him we'd pray about it and call him back the next day. And we did. And so we were good with the procedure. And we went into it just like we went into everything before and after. We prayed about it and we kept our trust in God, and that's what we that's where we done this journey. Trust.
Connie, do you think that your concerns were acknowledged as you tried to make up your mind about what the treatment options were?
Jerry was doing all of the research and the reading, and he was sharing everything with me. In that he was sharing everything with me, I had lots of questions about the different treatments going forth. But the main thing I wanted was for him to be comfortable and to just be there when he and the doctor decided which treatments would be better. I just wanted to be right there with him and understand that what he was doing, he understood the side effects, what would happen going forth, and what would we have to do to get to a 0 PSA in the process going forth. So once they chose to have the prostate removed and other treatments going forth, I was really okay. Then I just needed to learn my role as a caregiver. And that wasn't so bad. It was a lot of emotions going forth because you have all kinds of thoughts. And in the process, we just became closer and closer because this was a journey, a new path that we were on. And you want to know, how did this happen? And if you didn't already know about prostate cancer, you shouldn't learn a whole lot about it. You know, how did it happen? How does it happen? And why does it affect Black men in the way that it does? And it's, for us, it really became a true passion on how do we help other people. And I'll just stop right there. As we go forth, we can talk a little bit more, but my main thing was to be a supportive caregiver.
Thank you. Tony?
Yes. The way I approached it was when I got my diagnosis, I recognized that I needed to learn a lot about prostate cancer. So I had heard about PHEN, and so I decided to come down to the PHEN meetings right here in this room and interface with the PHEN team here and all of the brothers and the supporters and wife supporters that was here. And from that, I learned that PHEN was having an annual prostate cancer disparity summit down in the Washington, D.C. area. So Gloria and I discussed it, and I thought, well, maybe I can go down there and get a chance to learn a lot more. and to rub some shoulders with people that were already in the trenches with in their prostate cancer journey. So down there, I was able to meet a gentleman that told me that I needed to. He told me that I needed to meet a guy in Boston that was a prostate cancer specialist by the name of Mark Kennedy. A lot of people might know Mark from the Boston area. And so when I got back, I met Mark, and he offered to go with me to my prostate cancer appointments. So he kind of ushered me and educated me and went with me to my appointments, and I had an opportunity to see the the urologist, the surgical side. I got a chance to have an appointment with the radiation oncologist and also the medical oncologist. It's all three of them. And so after discussing with him and him educating me about the treatment options, he was able to give me some detailed information and break it down for me. So I was able to make a solid decision on what treatment option that I wanted to have. And so I wound up having my prostate removed. And one of the reasons that I chose the prostatectomy was that it had the cancer was contained in the gland and it hadn't spread. And so, the information was saying that if it hadn't gone outside the gland, the prostate removal will probably be the best option because you take the prostate out and all of it's gone.
Mhm.
And so that was one of the reasons that I chose to have the prostate removal.
Gloria, did you feel that your concerns were acknowledged during that process of trying to decide how you guys were going to treat Tony's cancer?
Yes, because I was going to make sure that they were addressed. I went to as many of his appointments and his discussions that I could. I called other people, family members who I knew something about prostate cancer. I was there. We would dig into information, reading materials, websites. I wanted to know as much as I could know too, because I knew we were in this together. At the beginning, you called it a family illness, and it is.
Mhm.
It affects all of us and affects us directly. And so I made sure I was there with my pen and my pencil and my laptop or whatever, because I wanted to know everything too.
Thank you. Lynn, how did you navigate this?
My urologist, I get asked a bunch of questions throughout, and Katrina was there too. And he said, okay, so this is what we're going to do. He said, because you have early stages and it's localized, and we went to his office and he said, he told me about the different stages, but he said, yours is localized. So what I want you to do is first go to his team. He had a medical oncologist and radiology oncologist that's a part of his team. So I went to both of them at different times, and they had all my charts and stuff. And they're going to tell them, okay, yeah, this is where you are. And they gave me the little charts and stuff and saying, okay, you're right here. You don't have to be concerned about over here, but you're right here. So, and you need to make the decision. And they gave me like several options and stuff. So, and Katrina was with me too. Then at the point, all the doctors said, that it's going to be your decision. And Katrina said the same thing. It's your decision. Whatever you do, we're going to support you. Then I got to the point and said, okay, now this cypro knife thing is going to be a good thing. Because I'm going to lay on the table like 5 times in like 20 minutes and it's over. No cutting, nothing. So I said, heck, and side effects, ain't no side effects. So right now, again, today was my 4th one at 1 o'clock today, and my last one is going to be on Friday. Then I got an MD on Dr. Google. I mean, I done read everything on Google about what I should do, the side effects and stuff. I need to leave that alone. But it's like, okay, no impact at this point. So I'm just grateful that I'm at this this stage. And the thing about it, the early diagnosis was the key in my particular case, because I did have a brother that had prostate cancer and others in my family. But the idea of just being on top of it was the key. And also, I read someplace that by having a spouse, a partner, they keep you going too. I mean, they're gonna be right on you and with you with those pieces. And the survival rate for somebody with a partner is much higher than one that are single.
Thank you. Katrina?
I think for me, it came down to really trusting the doctor and what he was telling us. And the way that he approached us whenever we had an appointment, the care that and the time. He didn't rush Lynn with all of his questions. And he was giving him, he was very deliberate in how he was explaining the different treatment options for him. And so for me, it was, I truly knew that it was Lynn's decision. The only concern that I really had was whether he should have his treatment at St. Vincent's in Worcester, or if he should be here. I mean, we have the most incredible hospitals and treatment places in Boston, and we're out in Marlborough. So why wouldn't you want to come to a state-of-the-art Dana-Farber clinic? And so I had to accept that Lynn decided that St. Vincent's in Worcester was a reputable place. We asked a lot of questions about that, and so I became comfortable with his decision of where he wanted to have his treatments.
Okay. I want to ask you about coping as a couple now. This is for both husband and wife to answer. I'm going to start with Jerry and Connie. How did this diagnosis impact your relationship? Were there moments when there were impediments or obstacles to your relationship? And were there moments of growth where you learned something about your relationship and the strength of it?
Well, I believe that when we were impacted with what was going on, and it was a reality, our main focus was communicating with everything that was happening, from the treatments on down, how are you feeling emotionally, how do you feel physically, how am I feeling emotionally, and of course I was okay physically, but what I have experienced and we have experienced together, the psychological part of what goes on with the diagnosis of prostate cancer, the possibilities of and the possibility of what is not or what may be. So in those beginning stages of the coping process, it was all about the communication and what we felt would be best for Jerry as the one that was impacted physically with this diagnosis, and how am I feeling about it as the caregiver, the wife, the supporter of him in whatever stage that he was in, the physical or emotional. So I believe that the main coping skills that we were able to put growth in was our communications with each other.
Jerry, you want to add to that?
Yes, that's true. Connie and I are real close. And when we got to the decision making and options that we had. We were told that everything was good. The prostate cancer cells were contained in the prostate gland. So that was good. So we were grateful to God for that. That was another step. And the next step was actually removing it. So we removed it and everything was good. So we were grateful again. So during this process, we were doing a lot of reading. The more knowledge that we had about the disease, the more confident and the more comfort we were in moving forward on this journey. And I've learned from PHEN that knowledge is the best defense against prostate cancer. And that's before I met PHEN. We were working with the knowledge before we knew it was the best tool. I should have been obvious, but I didn't know. We didn't know. We had never had this experience, but we knew whatever came our way, that we were going to be together and God was going to be with us.
All right. All right.
Tony?
Yes. Yeah, I recognize that, you know, the prostate cancer journey, that you had to deal with a lot of different things, and I felt like, you know, the love that Gloria and I shared with each other before prostate cancer, I didn't want any of our relationships to dip or change based on this prostate cancer journey. So I always understood that you're gonna have challenges, and but we was gonna make it through it together. And you know, I was coming from the school of thought that, you know, whatever we decided when we got married and in our vows, that we were going to live up to that, regardless of where the prostate cancer journey would take us. You know, it's going to be a roller coaster, but we're going to stick in here and we're going to stay in here together, and make our relationship as good as it's ever been, and just continue to move forward on this journey together.
I have a question that may be somewhat sensitive, but I want to talk about intimacy and emotional connections. Prostate cancer can lead to changes in physical intimacy. How do you handle those? This is a question for the couples. And you want to start?
Well,
Is it Lynn?
Yes.
Yeah, I can start. One of the things I did today, I said, most likely people are gonna say, how long y'all been married? Y'all didn't ask that. So I figured it out. I even had to use a calculator. I've been married 48 years and 8 months. And Katrina is the love of my life. Best thing that ever happened to me. Yeah. And we got one daughter, and that was great too. But Katrina is the best thing that's the Lord has sent my way. And we have been together so long. You know, the first 5 or 10 years, you say, "No, why you say that? Why you say that? Oh, you want to?" Now, you can just understand by looking. Okay, this is what she means. This is what she's saying, and so that relationship is like so dynamic. I mean, we have love, and one of the things I do get up like at least once a night. Who cares about that? But sometimes when I get back to bed, I should sleep. I just touch it and just say, "I love you. I love you." Like it is amazing. Sometimes when we're watching television, I would look over there and she looking at me. I said, "What you looking at?" She's like, "I can look at you. I love you." Right? I said, "Oh, what?" I mean, we just got that type of relationship. I mean, it's been there. It's been there. And right now it's just a greater. So the intimacy part, the romance part, the whole the hugging and all that, that's also there as well. So I just love there. I got so many stories in my head that I want to say, but I'm gonna stop right now. But can I get one more? Let's get one more chance. Please let me just do one more. I'll just do one more. I do one more. We were going to St. Vincent's, right? For the biopsy. We're going to, okay, so I can tell us, we're going to St. Vincent's the biopsy. It's like 20-25 minutes drive from my house. So I'm somewhat anxious. So we get there, and I'm in the park, and we're in the parking lot. And I said, "Trina, are you gonna pray?" She said, "I was praying the whole time." So she just said a little short prayer, but I was wondering how old, down home prayer. But she said, "I got it covered." So that did help. So that's that type of relationship.
Attorney, you want to add anything to that? Or was that enough?
Oh, you had enough.
Now, I am a firm believer that faith and fear cannot coexist. And so if I say that I trust in God,
Mm.
then I have to trust that why he chose this path for Lynn, I may not ever understand, but I have to trust that he's going to be okay. And so Lynn and I have, we've been together since I was 20 years old. And he is truly my best friend as well as my husband. And so I don't think that this diagnosis changed anything because we were always very close, and he moved me here. I didn't know anybody but I only knew him. And so he has been my strongest supporter in anything that I've wanted to do or tried to do. And that none of that changed because he has this diagnosis.
Great, thank you. Jerry, and you and Connie wanted to try this one?
Sure. I've been knowing Connie ever since I was 14 years old. I'll be 71 next month. Been knowing her all my life, and we church going folk, and like she said, if God said it, then we believe it. So we got ourselves through the removal of the prostate. It was good. And we thank God for that. So the intimacy, we told the urologist when he was telling us what procedure he recommended, and he explained to us that it would be some challenges. And we told him, said, "Look, don't worry about that. As long as I can come out of this alive, we'll deal with the small stuff later." So I was listening to Tony speak about watching TV with his wife and looking over there at her. You were describing me and my wife when you said that, because just being with her in this journey is more than enough. And we're grateful.
And I'd like to add to that. The urologist, when he talked to Jerry and I about the intimacy part and explained to him that he would have to remove his sex nerves and that the challenge would be even greater since he had to take that path to ensure his healing process. So we knew that things were going to be different physically as far as sex and intimacy that way was concerned. But there's more ways to be intimate, just to be together, and the power of just touching your hand, your arm, kissing you, hugging you. All of that is so important, because when it comes down to it, it's all about the love that one has for the other, and just the companionship and the love, and just knowing that we are here for each other takes your relationship to even a greater level, to find out what's really important when it comes down to having or not having your loved one, and whatever else that comes with it. As the gentleman said earlier, it's all about the vows: to death do us part, in sickness and in health. And that's where we took our intimacy, and it's just good to be together.
Man.
Good stuff.
Tony?
Yes, Gloria and I know that we love each other to the moon and back. And so we're celebrating, last year we celebrated our 20th year of marriage. And, I always, through the research and understanding, that my prostate removal surgery was the typical nerve sparing, laparoscopic radical prostatectomy. Say that 5 times. And but that particular one, as most of us know, is to spare the nerves that controls your erections and your urinary functions. So we just understood together that we had to recognize and understand the changing roles and timing of physical intimacy. And we worked that all out, and
Great.
we know that this, sometimes it's challenging, sometimes it's not. And but we just roll with the punches, and we love each other, and we make it happen.
I just want to second everything that everyone said, and to say that you come to new levels of understanding, you come to new levels of conversation, and you come to different ways of being together, and you make it work, because that's what you need to do. With the help of God, you make it work, and we have made it work, and we're happy, and we support each other. I have great respect for him and what he's gone through, and we do it together as a couple.
Thank you. So I want to let you guys know you're doing a great job as couples. And we got some, I got a whole bunch of questions here, and we'll try to get to maybe 1 or 2 more, but we have some online questions. So Jerry, you want to give those?
Yes. So the first question, for each couple, very briefly, who first noticed and when did you yourself first notice something was wrong? Jerry Knight.
I had no symptoms. I went to a annual routine checkup, and my PSA was double the limit. So my primary physician, whom I had been taking PSA testing for years, he recommended that I he set me an appointment up with a urologist. So it went from there to it went from there until where be diagnosed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's so important to have those baseline numbers, so you know when something is wrong. That's so
Right, exactly,
important to check.
exactly.
And there are a lot of doctors who won't.
Mm.
Yeah, so we went straight to the urologist, and I had the procedure,
Mhm.
and they found out that I had stage 3 prostate cancer. I was pretty much on the money by going to my annual, by testing each year. Because a lot of times you might not have no side effects to
Right.
give you a warning. So I was grateful to God that I checked up like I was supposed to.
Then
And
you want to tackle that one?
Yeah, again, I go to the doctor annually for the last 40, 50 years. And my numbers over the last 5 years, it started creeping up. Most of the time it was under 2. Then for the last couple of years, it hit 3.8. Then it hit 4.1. This is when my primary decided, said, oh no, you need to see a urologist. So this goes to urologist. And that's what happened. So I did go to urologist again, like I was saying before. The first one discounted me because I was 70. Then the other one was pretty good. So that's where I found out. So no symptoms other than the PSA number going up.
For me, like piggybacking off what Jerry said, there is no symptoms that I know of, but I did remember, and this is before I start getting my PSAs checked, maybe a year before I was diagnosed. I did notice that I was going to the bathroom in the middle of the night on a constant basis. But at the time, I didn't know that that was anything related to my prostate. So by going to my annual physicals, like about leading up to 2016, because I was diagnosed in 2017, my PSA via my annual physicals was starting to creep. But I was not paying attention to my numbers, and that's another thing that us men need to do, is always know where your numbers are supposed to be. And so it went from like 3.5, 4.5 the following year, and then it went to 5. And then the next year after that, which was 2016, it doubled. Like Jerry said, it doubled from 5.5 to 10.7 or somewhere in that ballpark. So that's what alerted my primary care physician to, recommended I see a urologist. And so that's when I went to see Dr. Long in Newton Wellesley. And then from that, obviously, they do the DRE and then the biopsy. And then the biopsy results is what proved that I had a Gleason score with 2 6s and 2 7s. So I had to make a decision and, recognize that I needed to start some treatment. And he said that you can wait about a month, but don't wait too much longer than that. You need to start thinking about what you want to do. So that's what prompted me to understand what was going on.
So we have one more question, time for one more question, because we have to do a survey at the end of this. So the last question is advice to other couples. If you could go back to the beginning of this diagnosis, what advice would you give yourself at the start? Go back to when you first got diagnosed. Anything you would do differently?
I think that couples, members of families, friends should encourage each other to watch your health, all health avenues, whether it's a child or an adult or your spouse, keep up with your health, whatever that means. If that means going to the doctor, if that means wearing your glasses, if whatever that means, that you should. So I would say that that's what I would encourage couples and everybody to do. Keep abreast of your health, your mental health, your physical health. And that's what advice I would give, as far as keeping abreast of what you need to do to take care of yourself.
Mhm.
My advice would be that in the midst of all of the support that you're giving to the person who was diagnosed, you have to also remember to take care of yourself. And for me, it was very difficult for me to accept support from other people. I felt like I needed to be strong. I had the strength to do this until I hit the wall. And I had, thankfully, a tribe who surrounded me and would take me and say, okay, Lynn is okay. What about you? Let's go and just sit on the couch and talk. And so I think that in order for you to be strong enough to support, you have to take care of yourself as well.
Thank you. Connie, Jerry?
My advice would be to stay aware. You start giving people advice before things really happen, and encouraging their health in more ways than one. You know, we haven't talked very much about dietary and exercise and different things like that to keep our bodies healthy, both the men and the women. But my advice would be just to stay aware of what's going on with your body, listen to your body, listen to each other, and for, always get your checkups. And for couples, prostate cancer sometimes affect men that may not have the same support system as a married couple, or even someone that has a partner or a spouse. It sometimes affect men that really don't have anybody, or maybe in between relationships. And I just believe that what we have done going forth here in Mississippi is just making people aware that this is something that can happen, and this is something that can be prevented or contained in the early stages. I just think that something has to happen before you get to where us three couples are right now. If we can catch couples or even men early in life, like 35, 40, make them listen. You can't make them listen, but hope that they will listen to you, so that we don't have the same challenges. They won't have the same challenges as we are having right now. So my advice would be going forth would be to pay attention to your body, listen, do what you need to do as far as dietary concerns and exercise is concerned, and getting your checkup, your physical checkup, and starting to get that PSA screening early on. That's what our advice is right now in the
Right.
state that we are in this, in this particular status.
I'd like to thank our wonderful couples for this wonderful evening, and great and nice round of applause. For your efforts that certainly help people. We do have a survey that is up on the board, on the screen. And once we get those answers on screen, right?
Panel cannot vote. That's, but we can't vote. That's good.
a lot of vote is being done. So we might take advantage of this wonderful couples and ask another question. So do you guys think that, that doctors and nurses and other hospital folks should, take a different approach to folks who are being, at risk for prostate cancer? Understand the issues associated with that, and, you know, we have so many folks who see doctors who won't screen. And, we do a lot of education, but still a lot of instances where, you can go to your doctor, and, I've seen many cases where the first PSA test is done by somebody like me, for a person who's been getting seen for 20 years before, with no PSA, at high risk, being, African American, but not getting screened. So, any advice to the clinicians, to the folks in the healthcare system, that there's a better way to look out for people at high risk, other than what's been done so far?
I think that's where organizations like PHEN and prostate cancer support groups come in because, you know, for many doctors, it's just a job. And I believe that if we, as prostate cancer survivors and caregivers and people that are interested in saving the lives of others, we have to be in constant communication with doctors ourselves to get them to even support us and to become more involved in making aware that prostate cancer is more prevalent in the Black community, which many doctors won't say a word. Sometimes they don't even want to give you a PSA. Well, now it's easy. You know, men have to be proactive, in my opinion, and women, of course, to say, are there any other tests that I need, or will you give me a PSA exam? You know, what are my risks? Explain to me that if my father, my uncle, my brother, anybody had prostate cancer in my past, you know, am I at high risk? Somebody may not know that's high risk. So you have to really communicate with those people that are in charge of your health.
Thank you.
And what I learned through this journey is that cancer is cancer. Just because you have prostate cancer, your mother or your grandmother could have had cervical cancer or breast cancer, and cancer is cancer. And so that we tell our daughters, we tell our sons, we tell our son-in-laws, we tell our cousins, maybe not at the local family gathering, but you somehow get the message that, you know, cancer is cancer and it can affect anybody. And so to talk about it in appropriate settings is also important. And also important for doctors to know that we are going to be talking about this. We are going to be referencing you, your treatment, what you've done to other people. So let's get the conversation going, and that's what PHEN does.
Thank you. So we have answers to the poll. I didn't do that. Were you satisfied with this session? We had a whopping 87% yes, 11% somewhat, and 2% no. How relevant was the session to your needs? Again, 78% very, 20% somewhat, 2% not. Must be the same person. Did you find the discussions, love or powerful medicine during your prostate cancer journey helpful? And that was a whopping 84%. 14% very, and then 2% again not. Did you understand why prostate cancer is considered a couple's disease? And again, 95% yes, 96% yes, and 4% somewhat. The person who said no before didn't say no again. We're almost there, guys. How do you feel about the pace of this session? Too fast, 0%, just right, 93%, Too slow, 7%. And almost to the end here. Did you find the speakers' stories inspiring? And again, 89% yes, and the rest 9% somewhat, and 2% no. And did you attend another managing survivorship session? Again, 98% yes, and 96% yes, and 4% maybe. Would you recommend this session to others? 98% yes, 2% no. Two more. Did the program allow adequate time for audience Q&A? Yes, 64, somewhat, 29%, and no, 7%. And then the last one is, I can barely read this, prostate cancer survivor, 60%, patient, survivor, wife, or caregiver, 11%, advocate, 7%, industry rep, 0%. That's the end of our survey and poll. So again, I'd like to thank folks for attending this session this evening. On behalf of Tom Farrington, President and founder of PHEN, and yours truly, Jacques Carter, Medical Advisor for PHEN, and the PHEN family, we thank you for attending. And we'd like for you to acknowledge and thank our sponsors, Dana-Farber Cancer Center, and multiple pharmaceutical companies which have been flashed on the screen. And we hope to see you again next month for the March session of the PHEN Prostate Support Team. Thank you very much.